In psychology, the Rorschach test works by showing you random blots of ink. Because the shapes are ambiguous, your mind automatically projects its own internal desires, fears, and beliefs onto the paper to make sense of what it's seeing. It's a phenomenon that isn't limited to a therapist's office. This same property of projection can be found in the way we interact with the world's most famous scriptures. Take the Bhagavad Gita. It is a highly accommodating scripture, written with a diplomatic tone that allows almost any seeker to find a home within its verses. A scholar can read it and find a philosophy of pure knowledge. A worker can find a mandate for selfless action, and a devotee can find a path of total emotional love. When a book can hold so many different truths simultaneously, it begins to act as a mirror. We find thousands of commentaries on these texts because they don't force us to abandon our existing identities. Instead, they provide a divine justification for them. But there is another ancient manuscript called the Ashtavakra Gita, and it is the exact opposite of an inkblot. There is no poetry here, no diplomacy, and zero room for subjective interpretation. Its teachings are closer to pure mathematics. It presents reality with a strict 2 + 2 = 4 logic that refuses to compromise for the sake of the reader's comfort. This is likely why the text has so few historical commentaries. It offers no space for the mind to project its own desires, and it provides no validation for the seeker's ego. The message is clear. True spiritual liberation requires you to confront an uncomfortable, unvarnished truth, and you can only do that if you are willing to leave your sense of self completely at the door. Legend says Ashtavakra's radical clarity began before he was even born. While still in the womb, he heard his father chanting ancient scriptures. A voice echoed from the dark, challenging the famous scholar by stating that his words were not truth. They were merely a collection of borrowed sounds. The father was a respected intellectual, and having his pride dismantled by his own unborn child deeply wounded his ego. In retaliation, the father placed a curse on the boy. He was born with a physical frame that was twisted in 8 different places. He was given the name Ashtavakra, meaning 8 bends. Ashtavakra entered the world with a perspective that had already defied the most learned men of his time, housed in a body that those same men would find impossible to respect. When the boy was 12, he hobbled into the royal court of Emperor Janaka, where the empire's greatest intellectuals had gathered for a massive debate on the nature of God. The scholars took one look at his crooked frame and burst into arrogant laughter. Ashtavakra looked at the assembly and began laughing back at them. He turned to the emperor and asked why the deepest secrets of reality were being debated by a council of cobblers. He explained that a cobbler is only trained to evaluate the quality of skin and leather. By laughing at a deformed body, these scholars proved they were only capable of seeing the surface of the skin, missing the consciousness inside entirely. He told the king, "A crooked temple doesn't make the sky crooked. A shattered clay pot doesn't mean the empty space inside it is broken." The emperor was stunned. He stepped down from his throne, bowed at the boy's feet, and begged for the secret to true liberation. It was a realization that absolute wisdom is entirely disconnected from physical appearance, societal status, or the academic credentials you accumulate. Most spiritual traditions suggest that liberation is a distant goal. They tell us it requires lifetimes of effort, strict rules, and physical striving to reach. Ashtavakra gave the king a different instruction. He told him to completely stop doing. The trap, he explained, is that every time you exert effort to achieve enlightenment, you are strengthening the ego that claims it is performing the work. You cannot achieve ultimate freedom through a system of striving, because the act of trying is the very thing that creates the sense of bondage. Ashtavakra's solution is the sakshi, the witnessing consciousness. You are not your aging body, your changing mind, or the world's elements. You are the silent observer watching those changes. The moment you detach and rest as the observer, liberation happens instantly. Spiritual freedom isn't a prize earned after a lifetime of practice. It is a reality